I've just finished a new book that I'm really excited about, and it's called Your Body in Balance. And what I'm talking about are hormones. Because in the same way as people need to know about how foods that could affect their cancer risk, foods could affect their heart health, foods affect hormones too. For example, let's say you've got a couple. They're trying to have a baby. And month after month, nothing happens, and they're spending tens of thousands of dollars on fertility treatments. They may not realize that their hormone balance has been changed by the foods that they're eating. Or a woman might have menstrual pain. A lot of women have menstrual pain, but for some it's kind of off the scale, I can't go to work today kind of pain. What if foods made that worse and a diet change could make it better? People have polycystic ovary disease, or they got endometriosis, which is terribly painful, or hormone-related cancers like breast cancer, or in men, prostate cancer. Could foods play roles in all of these? The answer is yes, they do. Two really good questions. One is, what are the foods that are causing the problem? And the other is, what about soy? Let's tackle the soy, because soy gets a not guilty verdict that's going to surprise people. Back in, I think it was 1931 or something like that, people identified what are called isoflavones in soy. The best known one is called genistein, and it looks kind of like a sex hormone, its chemical structure. It looks sort of like testosterone or estrogen. And people said, well, what if it behaves like an estrogen? Then for a woman, it could cause breast cancer. If a woman had breast cancer, it could aggravate it. If you're a man and you eat tofu or soy milk, you'll get man boobs. So researchers have studied this, and they've looked at let's start with women. Young women who consume a lot of soy. And when I say soy, I mean soy milk, tofu, edamame, miso, those kinds of just everyday foods. And you compare them with people who don't eat much of these foods. And what you find is that as the years go by, the women who consume the most soy don't have a higher risk of breast cancer. They have about 30% less breast cancer. And it's not just a question of whether a woman gets breast cancer or not. What if a woman has been treated for breast cancer and her doctor says, I read on the internet that soy is a problem, don't eat any soy. I mean, it's almost like that, where doctors say, I wouldn't have tofu because you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, we want to avoid it. Researchers have done at least 5 different studies now that for women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, those who avoid soy do the worst. They have about 30% higher mortality, higher risk of dying of their cancer, compared to women who eat lots of soy. Men who consume soy do not get man boobs. Go to a beach in August, and you see men with other shirts on. There are some guys who do have some breast enhancement. Here's the reason why. They've got more fat. They gain weight not from eating tofu. They gained weight from eating cheese and meat and the usual things that fatten up Americans. And as you have more body fat, each fat cell is an estrogen factory. And that's causing the man to have more estrogen in his bloodstream. And so he's got not just more body fat, but he's got more breast tissue. So what caused it wasn't eating soy at all. If you just look at whether you're consuming soy or not, without regard to whether you are vegetarian, vegan, or whatever, just, I'm including the soy or I'm not, and you hold everything else constant, the soy eaters do the best. The soy avoiders do the worst. I want to make sure that people have this knowledge. So this book is called Your Body in Balance. The subtitle is The New Science of Foods, Hormones, and Health. And I think it's going to really amaze people.